everybody, what's going on? I'm Salandia Hammond, aka Sue Ham Baby, with SueHam.com. I am delighted to be here, as promised, to tell you guys how you can use your tax refunds to invest in real estate properties that will generate money for you. If you are new to my channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just new to seeing me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a writer, and also producer, director, but also a real estate investor and someone who loves to provide education for people to better themselves. All right, so why am I doing this video? No, I don't own 100 units. I don't own 500 units. I don't own 1,000 units, right? Because if you listen to the big gurus, in order to tell somebody how to get in real estate, you gotta be making tens of millions of dollars. That is simply not the truth. I started my real estate journey back in 2006 when I purchased a $8,500 house. That's right, $8,500. I was actually working somewhere where I was around contractors and they were purchasing houses and selling them to people and making a killing. And back in 2006, we know there was no Facebook, or as the older people say, the Facebook, wasn't around. But also, there weren't a lot of investors telling you how to get into real estate investing. Now, I don't know if they weren't telling anyone because they were afraid that there were a lack of deals, and if they told someone, it would make it even more scarce because, let's just be honest, there's plenty of real estate deals out there. Or perhaps they weren't telling anyone because no one was asking. Well, here in my county, Williamsburg County, I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know who owned properties. But one thing I did know is that there was a shortage of properties and someone owned the ones that were occupied. So what I did was, because I didn't have anyone to go to, there weren't a lot of people in real estate back at that time. Now it's investing in real estate is so cool. It's the cool thing to do. Everybody's telling you, own your land, own your home. Ownership is key. And it really is. I actually just jumped in with both feet. And I'll tell you what, I actually swam for a little bit based on the knowledge I did have, which wasn't a lot. But then I started mismanaging funds. So here's what I want to tell you. Real estate is not an easy game, but it's not a complex game. Yeah, you got to do some work, and eventually it does turn into passive income when you buy the right property and when you have the right tenants in your property. All right, so for me, I started out with purchasing an $8,500 house. Now, what I would do is I would take these houses and I would rehab them. I wasn't putting in extensive rehab. If it needed a roof, I put a roof on, right? If it didn't need a roof, that was perfect. I just needed to worry about the inside, maybe doing some painting, some touch-up work, and putting in some cheap indoor-outdoor carpet, then that's what I would do. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Only rehab your properties. Don't over-rehab them, is what I'm trying to say. If it's in a certain particular neighborhood, don't try to make a $20,000 house into a $500,000 house, and you know that the most expensive house on that block is only 80 grand, okay? That doesn't make any sense. So I would put in what I needed to do to bring the house up to code to where if I wanted to live there, I could live there. That was my standard, was if Sue wanted to live there, Sue could actually live there, all right? And I started getting more properties. I actually amassed up to 16 units. I actually got a multifamily unit with 7 apartments in it. And here's the kicker. You know, in the past, I used to blame my misfortunes of real estate on the 2008, 2009 housing bubble, the crash. And I was afraid to get back in it. But the truth of the matter was, it had nothing to do with the economy, because there are so many people who actually made it through that economy. And the reason they made it through that economy is because they were not ignorant. I was ignorant. When you're ignorant, you don't know something. They were not ignorant as to how to find the right properties and how to find the right tenants. And they did not over leverage themselves or mismanage money. For me, I was like a kid in the candy store. I mean, I'm buying $8,500 properties, $10,000 properties, putting a tenant in the property and getting it refinanced and getting $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 checks. And I'm going out buying Escalades, Benz, Mercedes, all these things traveling, giving money out to people, all these things, not even thinking, hey, put some money away for a rainy day. Hey, there's a housing bubble that could happen at any time. Hey, you shouldn't pull out 90% LTV, the equity in your home, because that's just not a good move. That's over leveraging. You want to keep it between 70 to 80%. I mean, 65% is even better. But these are things I didn't know. I was ignorant. So I actually filed bankruptcy in 2009. Why am I sharing this story with you? Because some of you do not know this. Some of you just know me from the stage play arena, the entertainment arena, and I want to tell you my background. So I filed bankruptcy in 2009. And I got to tell you, I was like, man, I'm not getting back into the real estate game. I don't care how lucrative it is, because it was lucrative. I was living a great lifestyle. I don't care how lucrative it is. I'm not getting back into it. It wasn't until I actually had a coming to Jesus moment. I was just being real, and I was owning my shit. And I was just like, this ain't got nothing to do about the economy. This ain't got nothing to do about none of that. This got to do about me blowing money and not knowing what I needed to know, not taking the initiative to dig further. But the great thing is I had a really expensive education in real estate investment. So fast forward, I am here today to tell you how you can actually get started with your tax refunds. Now, in my county, Williamsburg County, there are a great number of people that might be getting anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 in tax refunds. And a lot of times, not saying people here, but often people around the world, and sometimes here, they go and they buy cars. And your car is a liability. The only time your car is not a liability is if you're using that car to actually generate income. Maybe you're renting it out. But if you're not doing that, your car is a liability. You're just paying on it, but it's not giving you anything in return. So, getting a little, sorry guys. I feel like I'm talking too fast. Hopefully, Marcus, am I talking too fast? Don't stop it. We transparent here. We real. We're going to keep it going. So, if you're getting that kind of money, what I want to do is try to show you different ways that you can use that money to actually make money. Okay? I love real estate investing. I really, really do. So let me tell you how I got back in the game. In 2018, I decided, okay, I'm going to get back into real estate. But again, I was still a little afraid. Didn't want to go and own property, so I actually invested into real estate funding. And then, 2020 came, and I was like, I really want to get back into actually owning properties that I can touch. I want to actually be able to provide great housing for people, but I also want to make money. I also want to, leave some wealth for my children that they can have for their children's children. And so I started purchasing real estate again, okay? And I'm starting back on a journey. You're going to hear a lot of people tell you, oh, you need 5, 10 units, 25 units. Listen, the same courage it takes to buy 1 unit, which is a single family dwelling, is the same courage it's going to take to buy 3,000 units. And I actually had to have an investor tell me that on this week, because I was putting up walls because my goal is to have 30 units. And he's like, hey, do you necessarily have to have 30 units in one building? Or can you get 30 single family homes? Or can you get, 15 duplexes? 15 duplexes is 2 doors. It's still 30 units. And I started thinking about that. And I was like, you're right. Which took me back to 2006. It all started for me with one single family house, $8,500, fixing it, putting a tenant in it, and walking away with a check for 50 grand, and then repeating the process. So, which brings me to today. I want to tell you how you, if you're getting good money in taxes, tax refund, how you can actually do the same thing. You may be saying, Sue, I don't have $8,000 homes in my market or $10,000 homes in my markets. And you may not, because I'm going to tell you, 2006 was a beautiful time for real estate investors. Oh my goodness. Mortgage companies were like, yes, yes, get the loan. Yes, yes, we'll refinance. Yes, yes. There were so many foreclosures for $5,000, $8,000, $10,000. It was like, Oprah, you get a car, you get a car. And right now, it may not be that way in your market. At least it's not that way in my market right now. But here are some things that you can do. And I wrote some notes, guys, because I don't want to forget. You could actually purchase a mobile home. Maybe there's a mobile home somewhere that's on some land that somebody wants to get rid of. You can purchase a mobile home for $5,000 to $10,000. put a tenant in there and start making some money, right? You can do that. Someone may just want to get rid of it. They don't want it anymore. What I've come to find out is that the thing that you think that people won't rent is the thing that people will rent. I have been looking in different properties and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody's renting this. And they're paying their rent faithfully. So don't overthink this thing, thinking that somebody won't do it, because somebody will. And then maybe you can go in there and actually rehab that home and make it better and bring it up to par. Let me say this in the video. This is the point where I give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, nor am I an accountant, nor am I an attorney. So do your own due diligence. I am just sharing some of the things that I have gone through, some of the things that I have done, and that you could possibly do. All right? One of the things I did this year was attend a tax sale. Now, in my county, tax sales happen in December. All right? You won't believe this, but there were properties that were selling for $300. Maurice, how much? What else were they selling for? $500. Were you sleeping during the tax sale? $1,000. I actually bought property for $1,600. 1.5 acres for $1,600. Now, mind you, when you're buying property at the tax sale, right, it's not technically yours until a year has passed. Because within that year, that owner of the property can come back and redeem that property. And if they redeem that property, they take back ownership by paying the taxes. Now your money actually makes interest. So I consider tax sales a win-win deal. I put up $1,600. If the owner doesn't come back and redeem it, the property is now mine. If the owner does redeem it, I get my $1,600 back plus interest, right? So let's just say you see houses available for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and you only have $5,000 in tax refunds, right? Save your money. Save your money, and then when the next year rolls around, put whatever taxes you get back with that, put it together, and go and get you a tax sale property. I know you're saying, Sue, but I gotta wait a year. Listen, you wait a year anyways to get your refund, right? So save your money to invest to be able to get that property. Listen to me clearly. One house waiting 365 days could change your life. That $8,500 that I put into that house led me into several other deals. One door led to 16 doors. So think about it, it's worth it. Another thing you can do is with the tax sales, check with your county. In Williamsburg County, they actually have properties that did not sell at the tax sale. So what happens is the county owns these properties. So you may want to get with your county and ask for a listing of those properties that did not sell. That's, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Because now, if you buy those properties, they're now yours. Some of those properties, right? Some of those properties, opening bid might have been $1,000 and no one wanted it. Well, you could probably go in there now and say, here's $1,000, and that property is yours free and clear. You no longer have to wait because it's been over a year. So I urge everyone to go into your tax office where you are. Everything may be different in every state and every county. I'm speaking from my county experience. You can go in there and ask them for a listing of properties that the county owns, or the city or the town that they own, and look at those listings and decide if something is of interest to you, and you can actually buy it right now. Now think about that. You got $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 in tax returns, and there's a piece of property that's on the county listing that has a house on it that just needs a little work. And maybe you're a carpenter. I don't know, maybe your brother's a carpenter or your sister's a carpenter. And you go and you buy the house for $5,000, and now you fix it up, and now you rent it out, or you sell it. Whatever floats your boat. Or let's just say you don't fix it. You don't fix it and rent it. You don't fix it and sell it. Instead, you buy the property, and now you find someone else to sell it to as is. You purchase it for $5,000, and you turn around and you sell it for $15,000 to an investor. Ba-boom! You just made your $5K back plus $10K profit, all off a $5,000 tax return. Now you've got $15,000 in the hand, and you can go and continue to do this, or you can save that money and invest in other properties. So I hope that's making sense to you guys. All right. So, and get this, there were tax properties that were going for like 20 grand. There were people bidding like 20 and 30 grand on like 20 and 30 acres of land. Do you know what you could do with that? You could sell the trees. You could build a development, a housing development. You could turn around and sell the acreage, split them up into different parcels, tax numbers, and turn around and sell the acres. Oh, come on, guys, let's think. Imagine if you partnered with someone. Come on now. You partnered with someone and you go in and you buy this property, right? Maybe the property's worth $10,000 and you got 5 and your friend got 5, your husband, your spouse, your wife, your ex-husband, somebody, they got 5 on it. And you put it together and there's your 10. And you either keep that money, you keep that property, or you do those other things. You break it down into different parcels and sell it off. You know, you may be able to break it down into, 20 parcels, sell it for $2 grand each. And then that's 40 grand that you potentially make. You may be able to build a housing development. Guys, you just got to get creative with your thinking. One of the things I like to do is ask God for ideas. How can I multiply my money? Show me how to multiply my money. And one of the things you got to do too, guys, is you got to be patient, because everybody wants this microwave money. You got to be patient. All right? So another thing you can do is seller financing. This is something that I'm looking into. All right? So board's not coming 100% clean. So, seller financing. Seller financing. This, I was talking to a real estate investor this week on the phone. He owns several properties. I think they total in multi-millions. And I was talking to him and I was just like, I'm just thinking of different ways to be able to purchase more properties and whatnot. And he said, well, seller financing. And I said, yeah, I've been looking into that. And, I've just had these roadblocks up. I'm just going to be transparent with you guys. I had the roadblocks up. And I was like, yeah, I want like 30 units. I just don't know. And he's like, it's the same as buying 1 unit. It's no different. And he said, and it's even better when you can do seller financing. Here's how seller financing works, right? You find a property, you approach the seller. Whether you call them, you write them, you visit them, however it is that you get in contact with them, and you say, hey, do you want to sell your properties? I'm going to tell you a technique that I'm employing, and I'm waiting to see how it's going to work, and I'll come back and I'll let you guys know. I actually went onto the MLS listing, realtor.com, Zillow, looking at the real estate listings that they give out from a realtor. And I was looking at properties that have been out for 400 days, some for a year, some for 2 years. Here's what it's telling me. It's not selling. It's not selling because, one, it's either a bad piece of property, or two, just people are not interested. I know that a lot of people say that things that are out on the MLS, on LoopNet, on realtor.com, Zillow.com, and it's been out there, that's where they go to die. But here's what I believe. I think that, there are some deals out there that go to die. They're not good deals, but there are some good deals. And so for me, what I did, I was watching this piece of property that had been out. They had reduced it, and eventually they took it off the listing. And that told me, hey, they did not sell it. So I've been watching the property. So what I did was research who the property owners were through the GIS system, GIS. So whatever county you're in or whatever city, you would just go to Google. Like I'm in Windsor County. You would just go to Google and put in whatever your county is, and put in GIS. And you can actually, if you have the map number, the tax map number, or if you have the address, or if you have the owners of who own the property, put that in the system and it'll tell you the address and the name of the owners. So that's what I did for this particular property that had been on realtor.com, been on Zillow for a long time, and they kept reducing the price. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared. So when it just disappears, the seller's probably saying, hey, just take it off. I'm probably not gonna sell it. Or could be he found somebody offline to sell it to. But nonetheless, I actually found the seller's name and address, and I wrote them a letter. And I sent them a letter and I said, hey, I know that you've had your property
listed for sale and it hasn't sold. So I want to know, are you interested in seller financing? Are you interested in seller financing? Well, with seller financing, some people might require you to put down $5,000. You got that tax money, right? Some people might want $10,000. You got that tax money, right? Some people may say, hey, you don't have to put anything down. And guess what? You're solving a problem. You're solving that seller's problem. He or she is no longer managing that property because they probably don't want to deal with the tenants, especially if you're finding somebody that's getting up in age or maybe somebody who's made enough money on rentals and they don't want to deal with it anymore. So you're relieving them of having to manage that property, deal with tenants, and they're getting a mortgage from you until you can refinance it with a bank and pay them in full. Now, here's the benefit for you. You're getting a property that already has tenants in it, that's already making money. It's not showing up on your credit report, and either you put down a lower down payment or you don't have to put down any down payment. And you're sliding into that deal all from your tax refund money. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense to you, Maurice? So that makes sense to you, that makes sense to everybody. Say something so they won't think I'm talking to myself. And I'm working on a seller finance deal right now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. My intent is to help you to equip people with the knowledge to get out of poverty, to equip people with the knowledge to change their lifestyle so that they can leave some wealth for their families. But the second reason I'm doing this video is because I'm hoping that you guys will reach out to different people and let them know, hey, Sue's looking for property and she's interested in seller financing. And maybe I can come up off a deal just by giving you the information to help better your life. Because one thing I know, the more people you help, the more people that will help you. All right, so that's seller financing, all right? Now, you want to draw up a contract. You want to go through an attorney because you want to make sure your name is on the deed and everything. This thing is recorded. One of the things that I intend to do, of course, this is where you're negotiating. Every deal will be different if you're doing seller financing. Hopefully, I don't have to put any money down. And hopefully, the seller will give me a year before I have to get it refinanced through a bank and pay them all in full. Now, one thing you need to know, some sellers may ask for a higher interest rate because they're financing a deal themselves and because you're not going through a bank, right? But for me, I'm willing to pay just a little bit higher interest rate because I know in the back of my mind, I'm trying to refinance this property as soon as possible with the bank. So for those of you that may not have stellar credit, right? And you're buying something that is 4 doors, 4 units or less, right? That's considered residential. The bank is going to qualify that property based on you and 75% of the rents that you bring in, okay? But when you start getting into 5 units or more, the bank is going to qualify that deal based on the amount of rent that you receive in because it's now considered commercial property. So that's something to think about. And I'm looking for commercial property, but hey, I'm open to quads and triplexes and duplexes as well, as long as the deal makes sense. It has to make sense, S-E-N-S-E and C-E-N-T-S. All right? So I'm going to keep going because I don't want to stay on that too long. All right, another way you can take your money and make money, your $5,000, $10,000, is an FHA VA loan. FHA VA loan, right? FHA, this one? FHA is requiring 3%, 3.5% down. So let's just say you get a $100,000 house, right? $100,000. 3.5% down is $3,500. Okay? $3,500. Preferably you're looking for a duplex or a triplex. With an FHA loan, you have to live in one of the units for at least a year in order to be able to put down this low down payment. All right? And the reason why I say you want to look for a duplex or a triplex is because you want to live in one and you want to have tenants in that other one if it's a duplex or in the other 2 if it's a triplex. And those tenants are the ones that's paying your mortgage. And as they're paying your mortgage, right, you're living for free with 3.5% down, assuming that the loan is for $100,000. Now, mind you, a lot of people, when they're teaching this, they don't even tell you, they mislead people in my mind to tell them, oh, all you need is a 3.5% down. But there's a thing called closing costs. So you could potentially need another $2,000 to $3,000 in closing costs. Now you can ask the seller to pay some of the closing costs, which I highly suggest you do. Try to negotiate however much you can get, the max you can get for the seller to pay closing costs. That way you have to bring less money to the table when you close the deal. All right? And that's FHA. And see, as you can see, we're talking $3,500. You got $5,000 back on your tax returns, right? And here's my thing. If you're paying rent to somebody else, why not go and jump into a duplex or go and jump into a triplex and let somebody else make your rent while you're living in the house? Here's another option. You buy a house, FHA, you're living in the house, right? Why not rent out your other rooms? If it's just you, hey, you only need one room, right? Come on, let's think about this. I had a 3,000 square foot house at one time, and there were parts of that house I never went into. Now, let me take it back. I didn't go into for months. So I know that if you're open to having other people in your house, that you can make a killing off of renting out rooms. There are people that are renting out rooms for $400 and $500 a month. College students do it. They go, these developers have built these apartments, and they have communal restrooms, which means they're sharing the restrooms, they're sharing the kitchens, and they're sharing the dinner area. And there might be 3 rooms within that apartment. Each college student has a lock on his or her door, and they're paying $500 a month, and that's on the low end. So you're talking about $1,500, and they're sharing the common areas, and they're sharing the restrooms. So imagine if you got a house that had 3 bedrooms. You occupied 1 bedroom, and you rented out the other 2. There are some people that are renting out rooms for $700 and $800. You'd be surprised at what people will pay. Just depends on where you are in your market. And all you did was take $3,500 out of your tax return and bought a house and made that happen. Come on, somebody, think creatively. Think creatively. Listen, you gotta. I hope this is some good stuff. This is good stuff, Maurice. You gotta say it so they don't think I'm talking to myself. Say it.
It's good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Y'all heard that voice? All right. Here's another thing you can do, right? Let's just say you got some land. Some land just sitting up somewhere and you're not doing anything with it. Why don't you use that land and try to get a deal? Try to buy a duplex, triplex, quad. Parlay it into some money, okay? So you got some land. You see a duplex over here for $75,000 or $100,000. Go to the bank, local bank, or go to a mortgage company and say, hey, there's a duplex I want to get across the railroad tracks over there. It's like 75 grand. They're gonna say, do you have a down payment? Hey, I got some land, can I use that as collateral? They may say yes. Okay, they use it as collateral. They're like, boom, yeah, your credit's decent. We're gonna use that as collateral. Okay, we just need you to bring, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000 to the closing. Boom, well, you got your tax returns. You got your tax returns, right? And there's the deal. Now you got a duplex, right, that you can rent out because you don't have to live in it. It's not an FHA loan. You put up your land as collateral for down payment, and you rent out 2 of your units, and you pay, I don't know, $3,000 in closing. There it is. There it is. Put the other $1,500 away for maintenance, repairs, vacancies, and then you start collecting that rent. Hopefully this is making sense to y'all. I'm throwing it out pretty quickly. You'll have to go back and rewatch the video. All right, another thing you can do. Did I cover partnering already? I think I did. I said put 5 on it. Put 5 on it. All right. Another thing you can do is you can actually invest in a real estate fund. Take your $5,000. You say, Sue, this all sounds great. I don't need to tax my property like you do. I just want to put my money in a fund, and I just want to get paid. There are some funds that will pay you every month. I'm in a real estate fund that pays me every month. The minimum to join was $5,000. I don't know if they're still open at 5, but that's what it was. So you can take that $5,000 and boom, put it into a fund, get paid every month. And then when the owner of that fund gets ready to either refinance those real estate properties or sell them, then you should, okay, because I'm not doing your research for you, I don't know where you're investing, you should be able to make 2 to 3 times your initial investment, all right? Just something to think about. I want to throw this out, guys. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I actually watched a video where a young lady, I think it was in Detroit, she said she actually got started by taking her tax refund check and buying a house, and she moved into it. And I was like, whoa, that is pretty cool. And so I wanted to do this video to just show people different ways that they can take their money and invest and get into real estate, and also give some real life examples like with me. When I got my 7-unit apartment, I didn't have to put any money down. It was $235 grand, right? I didn't have to put any money down. But what I did do, I had another property that I owned free and clear, so I used that as collateral. So I was able to get a 7-unit apartment by using a single family house that I own free and clear and using it as collateral and not having to pay anything down. Come on, somebody. Which is the same scenario I just gave you if you own your own land and you see some property that you want to buy. Listen, these major banks may not do it. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all that crap, and then they require all these high scores. So screw them, right? Hey, I don't mean that if y'all want to give me a sponsorship. But you may want to go to your local banks, your local credit unions. And even if your local banks don't work with you, go to your local credit unions. And even if they don't, there are mortgage companies and hard money lenders and private lenders that will do these type deals. This is where you have to do your due diligence and do the research. How do I find people, Sue? There are Facebook groups. Like I told you before, when I got started, none of that was here, right? There was nobody here. You got Facebook groups, you got Clubhouse, you got YouTube. There are so many people that you can follow. There's a podcast called Earn Your Leisure. There's Grant Cardone, there's Julian Gordon, there's Mr. Jay Morrison, there's a lot of different, Andrell Harrison, I think that's her last name. There's a lot of females in the game now. When I got started, I didn't know any female investors. So, I mean, just do your research and see what resonates with you. But I just wanted to share this with you guys. I think I got everything. And I want to say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So if you don't do something right, you ain't going to get nothing. And I'm hoping that you guys will jump into it. Get the right mindset. All right, put it out there that you want great tenants. I have some great tenants right now. I love my tenants. I mean, they love the property. They take care of it, and they pay on time. Ask, put it out there. I want great tenants. I want great property, you know, where I don't have to do a bunch of repairs, where I don't have to worry about anybody or anything. And it's possible. It can happen. So imagine if you started out with that one property and it multiplied into 10. You don't have to have 1,000. Whatever floats your boat, whatever your goal is. Maybe you only want to make an extra $2,500 a month. Or maybe you want to make $25,000 a month in rent. It's up to you. The sky is not the limit, whatever you set. But just understand this. It starts with the right mindset. It starts with doing your research. And it starts with getting in the game. I had to get in the game. I had an expensive education, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I was living my life, and I learned a lot. And I'm here to tell you that real estate investing is a great vehicle for generational wealth. And if you are looking to start generating wealth for your family, I highly encourage you to do your due diligence, your research, and check it out. I'll continue to do these videos. I'll come back with more. As for right now, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Sue Ham. Go to YouTube and just go to Sue Ham, or you can go to my website. Oh, it's too big. How's that looking on the screen, Marisa? Can you read that? You can go to my website, SueHam.com. You can go there and you'll be able to connect to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to see the other videos, and hopefully that'll help you guys. Until next time, I'm Solandia Hammond, aka Sue Ham, baby, with SueHam.com.